What's going on, everybody? So, welcome to a glorious Wednesday afternoon. Um, WWE week, right? So it's WWE week. So therefore, it's WWE week here on the Wrestling Pit podcast channel. Also on Chris Wrestling Views and a little bit man gaming. Basically, here I am with, as you can see, the title of the video, WWE NXT review, Tuesday night review, and this was a jam packed one too. This was a pretty good WWE NXT. This was a pretty good NXT. I mean, wow. As you can see, I know I'm kind of blocking it here, but you can see Tongaloa, and who I'm blocking, Jacob Fatu. They yeah, they came, they saw, and they conquered. They conquered real good. They conquered real good. Solo dolo today. Solo dolo. Um, but shouts out to the rest of the guys in the Rest of Pit podcast. So let's get this started. We come to the first match of the night. They started us off right. I mean, they started us off big with the NXT Tag Team Championship match, which is Axiom and Nathan Fraser versus the Street Profits, and this was a banger of a match. These two guys went at it, and they worked very well together. I like that. They work very well together. I like the NXT crowd. They was very, very welcoming to the Street Profits. Um, but yeah, I like that. You know, I like that they styles mixed together. They work very well together. This was a great high octane match, as they like to use in the this was a very good match as well. Um But I guess I should get to the part where the Street Profits come in. And so the match was reaching its apex, right? And at that point, it looked like the Street Profits did have the match won. It looked like they almost had the match won, but um, Nathan was the one who took the blockbuster, and right when Montez Ford went for the pin, he got pulled out of the ring by none other than that guy, this guy right here, Tama Tonga. This crazy, I want to say butthole, was basically going ballistic. They start tearing everything apart. I think he like pulled Montez Ford out, and then here comes Jacob Fox too, like a cannonball. Just, I mean, my God, that he just came. He just ran down that ramp and cannonball himself into Montez Ford, or no, into Angelo Dawkins. Excuse me, into Angelo Dawkins, and then Tonga Loa. Um, Yeah, Tonga Loa, Tonga, and Jacob Fatu, they proceeded to beat up uh basically everybody at ringside. They didn't just beat up the Street Profits, they beat up Axiom and Nathan too. And they destroyed everybody. And that's why, as you can see from that picture in the background, uh they just stood there tall in the ring after laying waste to not only the Street Profits but Axiom. And yes, Axiom and Nathan Fraser would retain um the titles thanks to disqualification. But man, this was one hell of a way to start this NXT, you know, match, NXT night off. I mean, wow. And then they've been promoting that this is I think they go to the CW next week. Yeah, because CM Punk is going to be on there. That's going to be a loaded show. They've been throughout the whole night. They've been promoting that throughout the whole night. They promoted that. Then we get to the second match of the night, which is one of the most anticipated match I wanted to see. So which is why I checked it out. We got Julia versus Chelsea Green. Now I wanted to see how she would be in the NXT ring, in the WWE ring. Um, and this was a good match. You know what I liked about this match the most, besides Julia, was that they actually let Chelsea Green wrestle. She wrestled a lot more here than she actually does on the main roster, which is like the best, because like once you see it, like, oh yeah, you forget Chelsea Green could go. So she actually took it to Julia. Julia did not dominate like I thought she was. I thought it was gonna be like, okay, 90% Julia and about maybe 10% Chelsea Green. No, this was it was dang near almost 50-50, but it was more so Julia than Chelsea, but it was very close to being a 50-50 match between the two. And that's what I like about that. It actually showed that Chelsea Green could actually wrestle. She could stand toe to toe with people like Julia. But in the end, Julia overcame some impressive onslaught from Chelsea Green um, to pick up the victory, and her first victory on her road. I think she faced Roxanne Perez next week um, for the NXT Women's Championship. Yeah, that's next week. So, but yeah, Julia got the victory here. Then we get a backstage promo from Jordan Grace, basically talk about why she wanted to have this open challenge. And yes, um, she's basically having an open challenge for her TNA Knockouts Women's Championship, and that would be that would be later on tonight. But she said she wanted to do it because of the legacy that the NXT Women's Championship has, not only in not NXT as TNA, I should say. TNA, both the legacy of the TNA Women's Knockout Championship has the legacy of both WWE women's wrestlers and TNA homegrown. So she says that's why she wanted to do it, because she wanted to prove that she's the best in both companies. Then we get to the third match, which is Jovan Evans versus Charlie in a NXT Heritage Cup Championship match. And this is I actually like this Heritage Cup Championship match because it's actually impressive. It is, it's like it's different. It's not for a championship, it's just for a trophy. But I like that it's like basically a 2 out of 3 falls match. Like basically the first to two wins. Um and I like that. I like the difference. It's like it's not everything in NXT is not about a championship. Sometimes it's just about a trophy, right? So this is an interesting concept match to me, and it always intrigues me when I see it. Um, I think Charlie got the first fall. Yeah, Charlie got the first fall. Javon will end up getting the second, but Charlie and his crew, they would start to interfere, putting some underhanded tactics. Cedric Alexander was there for Jovan in his corner, and he tried to help even up the odds at the end, but they just got overwhelmed. And thanks to some underhanded tactics, Charlie would get the final pinfall, even though he was basically beaten and Jovan was going to get that final pinfall. They cheated and basically Charlie got the win thanks to some help from his cohorts. I forgot the guy's name, but apparently he was in Japan wrestling and he made his return to help Charlie win. Um, then we got to the fourth match, which is Obafemi versus a mystery opponent because what's that the Don, I can't remember his name. I can't remember his full name, but the Don, he had hired, basically he hired a hit. He put a hit out on Open Filming, and he found the person that do it. It was like a mystery opponent. And it turned out to be another NXT TNA wrestler, Hammer Stone. I'm like, good God, this guy is Diesel. And I like, and the thing about it was it was a actually okay match because they actually like it was two powerhouse dudes. Obafemi finally had to wrestle, so he got to wrestle somebody at least to where I have seen the Obafemi so far. He could have already had, and that's just me for not being able to watch NXT regularly. But it's to me, this will be the first time I think Obafemi has wrestled somebody who was basically like this big powerhouse person. Um, but it was cool. It was good. Like he actually had some back and forth. He actually had like a struggle. This was a struggle. This was a thing with him. And in the end, though, Obafemi overcame the odds, overcame a game hammer stone. I'm like, I need to see more of this hammer stone, dude. I do. I want to see more hammer stone, more Obafemi. I always say though, too, like at some point, this TNA WWE crossover has to have a bigger payout. Yeah, I mean, I actually want to see actually on both ends. I want to see somebody in WWE hold a TNA championship, and I want to see somebody in TNA hold a WWE championship. I think it'll be fair to make both shows interesting. Like, oh my god, like somebody it's a person who's a TNA superstar, but they a WWE champion. And somebody in WWE is a TNA is a WWE superstar, but they a TNA champion. I think that would be the biggest payoff to this whole crossover if you let both sides have a championship, even if the reign is only for a week. Even if it's only for a week. I think it would be a bigger payoff if you do it that way. But, you know, hey, if it happens, it happens. So after this Obafemi match, we got Ridge Holland versus Duke Hudson, and this was steaming off the fact that I think at what was that NXT No Mercy. Ridge Holland just basically went ballistic and destroyed the Chase U University at that pay per view. So now they have the little match, and Duke Hudson did do like a backstage promo where he told Chase to sit up in his bed and watch this because he's about to give Ridge Holland a good old fashioned butt whooping. Um, and this was a good match. This was a good match. This was Ridge Holland and Duke Hudson went at it. I'm actually glad that Ridge Holland is getting like a revitalized. I like what they doing with Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland. It's like Triple H and somebody figured out a way to utilize them and keep them, in a good spot until they need them to be pushed up the card. And I feel like Pete Dunne's gonna get pushed up the card very soon. I can see the signs there that he's eventually about to win a championship. I don't know what championship he's gonna win, but he's gonna win a championship. He's gonna win one, and it's gonna be soon. It's gonna be very soon because Triple H he doesn't do anything. I noticed under his leadership, he doesn't do anything without a plan. Like he doesn't do something without setting something in motion. It's giving you like a teaser of what's going to come in the future. Um, but this was a good match between Ridge Holland and Duke Hudson. They went back and forth, but Ridge Holland would get the victory over Duke Hudson. But then he would just destroy them once again after the match. And I'm just like, oh my god, he's just destroying Duke Hudson. Like he just used everything that wasn't nailed down to beat this guy up. And then we would get the sixth match on the night, which is Jordan Grace versus her mystery opponent, because this was an open challenge for the TNA Knockouts Women's Champion or TNA Knockouts Championship. Forgot they don't say women, so I'm used to WWE, so yeah. But they go up, and her mystery opponent would be So Ruka. And this was actually a pretty damn good match between the two. Like Jordan, I like that So Ruka is like the smaller, more agile, like almost luchador like character or person versus the powerhouse of Jordan Grace. And Jordan Grace was basically like this. She is really a powerhouse. Like, trust me, she is a true powerhouse. But she played well with Sol Ruka. Her and Sol Ruka were back and forth. Uh, there was a couple of points here and there where Sol Ruka looked a little dominant over Jordan Grace. But Jordan Grace obviously looking more dominant over her. Um, but in the end, the match got kind of ruined when Wendy Chu and I forgot the other lady's name, but I think she a TNA superstar, and they both end up attacking Jordan Grace, calling it a disqualification, but Jordan Grace would retain her. That's why she will win and retain her title due to a disqualification. But I could see Jordan Grace and Sol Ruka teaming up against Winnie Chu and the other girl for TNA. But this was a pretty good match. I want to see more of this. I want to see more of Jordan Grace, because you know what? I want to see the two people I want from TNA to become WWE superstars is Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry. Like, I want to see both of them end up becoming WWE superstars, because I swear, you put them in WWE as actual WWE superstars, they're gonna be champions in no time. But I also think too, that speaking of which, I'm gonna get to that more in a second. I'm gonna continue this, because then I'm gonna give you my thoughts on this TNA crossover. But then we get to the main event, which is Pete Dunne versus Trick Williams, and they both had like promos earlier in the day talking about why each of them going to win. Trick Williams even mentioning that he never been in the last man standing match, and that he kind of concerned about it, but he's going to do what he got to do. And this is a number one contenders match as well. This last man standing match is also for to see who will fight Ethan Page, and at the NXT season premiere on the CW. And this was by far a good. This was the best match on the night. I would say the best segment of the night was with the Bloodline and stuff at the beginning of the show, but this was definitely by far the best match on the night. Pete Dunne and Trick Williams went to war. I mean, Jesus, they went to war. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and assume though this is like the end of the Pete Dunne Trick Williams beef, but they went to war to see who was going to become NXT the number one contender to the NXT championship. And I feel like Pete Dunne, even though he didn't get the victory here, I think it's something coming. Like I said before, Triple H don't do something on a plan. And I can see that he's building Pete Dunne up to get a win. He's one of the best performers in the business. So, and well, in WWE, I should say. But this was a good one. Trick Williams and Pete Dunne put this up through hell. I mean, I did like the ending though, where it was like about like the skin of a teeth, like that close, and all you had both Ethan Page sitting there trying to get Pete Dunne to rise, so you could tell obviously even though he earlier said that he was going to be cheering himself on, but you could obviously see that he didn't want Trick Williams to win. And he tried to get Pete Dunne to rise up so bad so he could face Pete Dunne, but Trick Williams rose to his feet before Pete Dunne could, and Ethan Page tried to attack Trick Williams, but Trick Williams would like flip him over and pull him through the table. Does Because of Trick Williams getting to his feet first, right at the 10 count, Trick Williams will win, and he is now your new number one contender for the NXT championship, which was a pretty good match. This was a fairly decent. This was not. I would say fairly decent. This was a very good NXT. This is a very good NXT. I know I don't review it much a lot. We all have work. We all have something to do. So I did get to watch it. I did get to write my notes down. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna jump on here and do a review video for it. But this was very good. I was surprised with the Jordan Grace, because going into this, I didn't know Jordan Grace was going to be on the show. I heard a rumor that she was coming back to NXT, but I didn't think it was going to be on this particular show. I thought it was going to be on the next week's show for the CW. But I did like the fact that she was there. I did like that we starting to get a lot more on one show. We're starting to get a lot more TNA superstars. We got we had Hammerstone, Jordan Grace. We had the girl that was with Winnie Chu. So we had a lot of TNA crossover superstars this time around. So I'm starting to like this NXT's crossovers. But speaking of which, I really do want to say that the TNA WWE crossover, it needs to culminate with them actually allowing somebody to switch titles. Like, eventually, I want to see somebody beat Jordan Grace for her championship in WWE while a WWE superstar. And I want to see somebody. I want to see the not NXT, but TNA superstar beat somebody in NXT for a championship, so they could go. So then they go on their respective. So, like I say, even if it's for a week, you could go on the show, and you could have them at least paraded for a week. Be like Jordan Grace, she could be on TNA, even though she lost the TNA championship. She said, I might have lost it, but I gained the NXT champion, the WWE's NXT championship, even though I lost the TNA Knockouts championship. Or vice versa, somebody in there be like, I got the TNA Knockouts championship, even though I lost the WWE NXT championship, something like that. The tag team the TNA tag team championship. They need to start switching some of this stuff around, because I feel like it's cool to have this crossover, but it's going to get stale if we don't start actually using the championships to make this even more exciting. Because just watching the crossover is one thing, but them not actually switching the titles is kind of going to make me eventually at one point be like, what was this all for? What was this all for if we're not going to have them switch titles? But that's just my opinion. But I do think I will say this. For this NXT episode, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah. Yeah, this definitely was a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah. I almost gave it an 8. Or maybe I should give it an 8. Because that Bloodline segment was cool. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm going to give it an 8. You know what? I'll give it an extra 5 and just round it up to an 8 out of 10. Because this was a good NXT. A lot of wrestling, little promos. Most of the story was told in the ring. Yeah, this was good. None of the matches was bad at all. None of the matches was bad. You know what? That's the thing I like about NXT too. Shawn Michaels don't put on a bad match, whereas in Raw, SmackDown, there's probably one match you might use as a bathroom break match. None of his matches was a bathroom break match to me. And I wanted to see every match that was on this card on NXT yesterday was basically a match I either wanted to see or got intrigued in the middle of it. So I have that's why I gave it an extra 5 and just say, you know what, instead of 7.5, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10, because this was a good one. This was. I actually did enjoy every match. I think what's his name? Wesley even challenged his former partner to a street fight match for the CW episode. We got CM Punk being on the next week episode. We got Julia versus Roxanne Perez for the in NXT Women's Championship. We got a lot of things that's being stacked. I think from what I hear too, I think it's going to be a lot of main roster superstars on the next week's episode. But I think, like, the headliner is CM Punk, but I think there's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. But yeah, that's it. That's the review. NXT was pretty good. I think we're going to see some more Jordan Grace in them on the next episode. I really do think though, like if I know Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they're going to try to get Joe Hendry and Jordan Grace when their contracts is up. But I don't think their contracts is up for a while. But hopefully one day we can see Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry as WWE superstars instead of crossing over from TNA. But now, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, this was a pretty good episode. It like I said, not that many promos that was conducted. More so, it was more wrestling. That's why TNA is good, because it's more like a wrestling side than storytelling of Raw and SmackDown. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Shouts out to, like I said, to the Wrestling Pit podcast and his crew who could not be here, obviously. But shouts out to Hector. Shouts out to Chris. Shouts out to Jeff. Shouts out to Shane and Shay. Shouts out to the whole crew. But if you really want to show your support for the crew, guess what? First, go to Chris Wrestling Views, subscribe to his channel. If you already haven't, do it, because that man's almost close to his first YouTube plat. And I'm going to keep saying it because he's almost there. He's the first of us to get there or almost get there. And just need a little bit more push. You just need that little push. And then go over to Jeff Wrestling. Jeff Wrestling 23. He's going to hit me if I messed it up. But yeah, go there to Jeff Wrestling 23. And then get over to my channel, Little Big Man Gaming. But last but not least, the main channel, which is Wrestling Pit Podcast. Get over there, blow that channel up. Because as I said before, there's a pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. Once that channel blows up to at least 500 subscribers, oh yeah, it's a pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. Yeah, and hey, you might be the lucky person to get that pot of gold. But with that being said, peace, love, Wrestling Pit Podcast, baby. I'm out. We will see you tomorrow. We might do a video tomorrow, or because I did a video today, we might just wait until Saturday to do the SmackDown review. But who knows? This was just a pop-up video. I don't think nobody really had planned to do this video, but I said I had time on my hands, so I'll do it. So, anywho, love you guys. See you. And yeah, go subscribe to all those channels. Peace.